Good morning, namaskar, good morning. No signals, I don't find any signals. Yes, good morning, signals are there, I'm sure. Yes, it is good morning, everybody. This is Inya Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, 13th April 13, 2021, and Tuesday. This title being civil field engineering designs, construction methods, contracts, EPC, AnnexSL, that's quality system, organizations, communications, coordinations, quantity, quality, and why should you behind quality is a question mark. Yet understand that now that quality is for everybody, it's for project, it's for work, it's for individual, it's for organization, and it's for life. This quality, which I mean it by that, and this quality must be everywhere on papers and in life and in field, on projects, on individual certification, and it should be everywhere. Likewise, you can say it should be everywhere. You can say like this. Yesterday, I talked at length about systems of quality. Quality, which is very general term, but very much integrated term in terms of build up. We are built up of something, human, non-human, universe, everyone is built up of its structure, natural structure. Natural structure we are built in, and this is very important because everybody is having. क्या हुआ? तो अंदर सो जा, अगर मच्छर काट रहे हैं तो फिर यहाँ सोना है. I'm sorry. Everybody is built in with some quality structure, and that structure cannot be changed. There can be no change in structure. That is God built in, and that structure is real one, original one, and quality one. When somebody is born with purity, with consistency, with, you can say, competent quality. It's human being who destroys its own body during lifetime by eating, by not eating, by drinking, by doing something one should not do. Composition of body is quality based, no one can deny that. Similarly, composition of brain is quality based, nobody can deny that. If you keep brain busy for good works, it works. Brain is an instrument that is used for thinking, and thinking is, you can say, solution for every problem. If I can think, I can find solution to unexpected events, unknown events. And if I don't think, I can't find. So procedure, quality, designs, you can say, work, scope, everything is related to power of thinking. We can say thinking is power. If you want to use something else for thinking, it can be used as power. Which power? Not money power. Power to think, power to connect with nature. Thinking means to connect with nature actually. Thinking is not simply you are in body, you are thinking. You are a part of nature and you are thinking. Thinking cannot be processed. Thinking is inbuilt. If I think, this means there is someone behind me who is forcing me to think, and that is where point lies in. If I am able to think for something, This means someone is with me. Actually, that person, that power is holding me to think. Actually speaking, truly speaking, all time someone is with everyone, and that is part of system. We may not recognize that, we may not understand that, but natural built body cannot move alone. It has some backing, and that backing is system. That system, and also maybe some individual spirit soul there behind us, which helps us. It may be in terms of God or God's representative. Then we have to, of course I can't prove, no one can prove, but life moves like that. When my soul leaves body, this body can do nothing, it's called that body. And until it is alive, it can do whatever it wants. This means there is a function between body and living being. What is that function? Life, movement, being, living. That body has no function. This means that body has no quality. But living body has quality. Living body has quality, it must have. My purpose is to talk about this is because we have to link ourselves to nature. We have to link ourselves to what nature expects us to do. Nature expects everyone to comply with what nature has done. Nature has done what? Nature has produced universes. I don't know how many universes. That's a point of interrogation, mark of interrogation. How many universes exist? Nobody can answer this. But how many individuals exist? Answer is available. How many non-human creatures are available? Answer is there. This means something is known, something is not known. When I talk of quality, I include quantity in that. And quantity is very important for strength. Quantity is very important for definition, for elaboration, for explanation. If I am not part of system, this means I deny myself some real world. And system doesn't mean system that I define or you define. System is already defined by nature. Existence of universe, existence of souls, existence of bodies, living beings, creatures, lithosphere, aerospace, planetary system, solar system. All these prove that something exists. It operates on its own. It doesn't demand any permission from human being. And it has been working for times unknown. I don't know, nobody knows exactly when our system started, to which we call solar system, or this universe, or Brahman, we do not know. But we know it works perfectly. That's we know. That is non-debatable. That system works, and it works perfectly. It works in designed and defined mathematical way. This means there is a system, and we should understand that system is important because it is perfect. It should be perfect. If it is not perfect, it has to be made perfect to certain references, and you can say assumptions. Individual is a part of system. If I say no, then I do not speak truth. I am part of system. Everybody is part of system. I am also, you can say, kind of element, or you can say elements are there in terms of materials which become very cooperative when these are used properly. So I say systems, individuals, and those natural elements or substances or matter or material we use. We can't get them otherwise. If there is no stone, I can't make a stone. You can't make a stone. If there is no water, I can't make water. Yes, I can understand composition of water, but I can't make it until I have those elements which constitutes water. So very basically you can say we are actually nothing. We use only what is available. Nature is available and we exploit nature. We use nature for engineering purpose and for survival purpose. If I say engineering, this means my intellectual or everybody's engineer's intellectual to use those that part of wealth that is hidden or available as a part of earth, and we use that part for production of something. And if we don't have this material which is in earth or elsewhere, we cannot do anything. So we should respect it first of all. We should respect earth, lithosphere, solar system and all system including skies. If we don't respect, we deny something we should do. Quality, don't take it to lower profile word. Quality, if does not exist, your quantity also does not exist. That is a scrap. That point we must understand. And I don't believe in scrap. Yes, scrap can be recycled, indeed, and we do it. If we say designs, designs for what? Design for something. Designs for clarification, designs for doing something, designs for devising something, designs for machines, design for parts, designs for structures, design for whatever we want to achieve in life, designs for plan, designs for plot, designs for, you can say, designs for cloth, designs for certain whatever you can say, whatever you want to view or have vision for, you want to do something. You can say design, innovation, research. All these are symmetrical terms. In engineering generally, particularly in civil engineering, design plays a vital role, because without designs, production or you can say construction cannot be done. Similarly, in other parts of engineering, other branches of engineering, design plays a vital role. If I don't have objective, I can't design machine. And machine is nothing but a mechanism. It's nothing but a system. Every machine has system which is based on many parts of that machine and electrical input or some other input, and we say it's machine. Similarly, our body is a machine. Similarly, our thoughts are mechanized. Whatever my machine supports, I think so, because energy is provided by body. So quality must be considered in broadest term. Maybe quantity is having shorter value, lower value than quality or system got in. If I don't have system, what should I do? Point lies in here. If I don't have system, what should I do? Can I understand that? If system does not exist, only way out is if you are intelligent enough. If I am intelligent enough, I have to create my own system for certain purpose, for custom, what I want to do. For that purpose, system requires to be created by application of intellectual power that I got in. That power is not mine. I have not achieved it. It is God given, natural, built in. Only process I am using to extract it. And education may be a basis for that. That your training is over, your mind is well developed to think and make certain system, and if I can't make it, then I have to join some system where I can use my power to think, apply. Either make a system or enter into a system. If you enter into a system, you have to abide by that system's working, rules and regulations of that system. And once you immerse yourself in that system, you understand that system, then you have every right to amend that system. Because that is our creation, and way which we want to use it, we have to make it properly. So that is, you can say, either design it, make a system, design a system, implement it and amend it, or you join a system and be a part of that. Both are available. Those people who are very innovative, who want to move ahead, who want to achieve something different, they understand designs, they understand how to systemize, and they do it brilliantly. And those who say, no, let me survive only, then they join some system and be punctual, regular, because a person who has system making capacity, that person first of all has no time to sleep and no time to awaken. That person thinks of that, contemplates on that, and brings something where time doesn't mean anything, but be busy and be positive, be constructive. While in system there's already built up. So there's only a difference. If I want to do something, I have to think on that and design it. And design is a very long process. It's not simply I say design and designed. Design is required, you can say, multiple level of thinking, not single layer, multiple layer of thinking. Those layers are very important for everybody, every professional. Even if you are not professional and you have thinking power, you can do a lot in your life, provided you are positive in lead, not deceitful. If you think you want to use methods, you want to use creation, mental capacity for something good for everyone, you can do a lot, and there are people who did a lot. Construction means construction of system. You can say when you devise some system, you have to produce, and that's also a kind of construction. Maybe it's not using material, but it's using mind, using your theories, your thesis in mind, which results into real existence. So construction is something different. Construction applies everywhere. If I construct a building, if construction applies, I say no, I make something else. I make a drawing, a kid makes a drawing, that's also construction. If I say I do something else, that's also construction, where something already defined is used positively for creating something that can be called construction based on formula, whatever formula or method I use, which is called design formula, design method, or process of construction. Process of construction is called method of construction, or method devised for construction, or you can say method statement. A statement is a general term actually. We should say method. Make, or you can say we do something, whatever we do, some method is involved. It's known or it's not known, that's different. But even if I do small work, some procedure is involved, and that procedure, though it's not identified properly in every act, but it works. Even you cook some item, there's a method for that. Even you make a cup of tea, there's a method for that. So it's very small activity, but method is there. How to walk is also a method. Means you have to walk which way. Though you walk naturally, but you are taught which is best way to walk, which is safest way to walk, which is safest way to eat, which is safest way to sit, where least energy is used for maximum output. So we have to understand such points which we ignore in life. Methods are expressions, how to detail in, how to enter in, and that applies to each and every activity. It's performance. You can say there is no definite statement on methods. Method always exists in your mind. It tells everything, but formally we do not know where does it lie. Maybe for something we do, something we do many times a day, but we can't even know there's something we generated, and we don't write it, We do it again and again, but we don't know about value of time we spend on that, value of cost we spend on that, and what sequences we have created until we need it to write. We have to write it in some way, or we have to define it in some way, or we have to understand it in some way. All do name it method. All do name it method. So method and its professional education teaches us that do not just fly in, just walk on streets, walk on foot. You will find many knowledge areas. If you just keep yourself in flying, in plane, you won't find what is ground reality. So for knowing ground reality, you must enter ground and walk. So you know where pits are, where stones are, where is dust, how wind affects you. This everybody learns, but nobody takes it too formally. It's part of life. You say, okay, there's wind blow, there's dust storm, there is rain. We know that. But how this work, once we understand that, then we can say, okay, this is a seasonal work, this is a season, this happens every time. We then try to understand that is called observance. Observance of activities which are natural, and observance or designing activities which we do. There's a little difference. When we do, we call our method, and when nature does, it's not called our method, because that is beyond our control. So quality is that. Do not take it so easily. Quality is not specific, it applies everywhere, and we have to respect it. Sometimes we do very good work, but we don't even analyze its goodness. We do very good work, we can't analyze how we have done. And that analysis is method. If you repeatedly apply that, if you repeatedly do something, it must be based on some method, we call it. Why I am stressing on method? Because people have been missing it. If they had not been missing, I would not be so compelled to share with you. I also could not understand at the beginning of my profession that is so important, but I realized to achieve quality, to achieve progress, to achieve certainty, you can say, we have to use certain method. It may not be complete system, but to whatever we want to achieve to that level, method can be excellently used. It must be reliable. Method must be reliable, that we can make. That if I do something right, it should be something right every time I do it. And that must be ascertained. If it works, okay, it's a part of reliability. Every time I do it, it is safe in doing, it is useful in doing, it is useful for something which is called serviceability of this, and also it does for long, and whatever it produces is worth for long journey. That is called durability. And you can say not only this only safety plus serviceability plus durability. You can say safety stands for everything is okay, there's no problem, and serviceability means it's worth executive, and durability means it's permanent, equivalent, you can say. And there are other points as well. You can say whatever resources are included with this, resources or sources, or you can say how it is procured. Procurement is also involved, and whatever you can say, every possible inclusion exists, which we have to realize in that. Then every time we say, why to press brain for something which is so easy? Well, I think it's not correct. If you are intelligent, you should use your power of intelligence You are not going to pay anything for that. You are not losing anything. Every time you do something, analysis must be conducted because mind is mind. It generates, it doesn't degenerate. It creates, it doesn't destroy. Yes, mind can destroy also, but construction of by mind is very important. Analysis always gives something new, something additional. Changes circumstances due to changing of something. So if you do something, it doesn't harm if you analyze it in shortest way. Once you know how it is, then analysis can be done every time. It's better if you do it. Means we can go into much more depth of problem by conducting analysis, and then it can be very minute game. You can say, oh, I will just take just 2 minutes to analyze this or to think on this once again, so that if I miss something, I capture it again or include that. And of course, every analysis gives you something. If it doesn't give something, it doesn't take something also. It doesn't take anything from you. You can say, I don't pay anything if I do analysis, and even if I don't get something additional, some new approach, no problem. Old approach is there. So analysis, of course, if you conduct big project, big design, you have to conduct analysis many times, and that's wonderful. Even for structural design, you have to think same theory again and again, same theorem again and again, same formula again and again, but your mind doesn't accept all time. It says no, try once more, change dimension, change section, or change something else on that, or change arrangement of reinforcement. Try this and try that. Every time you do that, and that's really amusing, interesting one, because mind doesn't accept everything. Mind wants to know more and more, and which of course programs in your mind. So you can say analysis and how to use answer of that analysis is called combination of all analysis or synthesis, and that we can say is a part of very much quality. And think again, I say, don't run away from thinking. Thinking is life. It's free. If you are healthy, if you take good food, if you are well established, your mind sound, and thinking should be your friend. Thinking should be your family member. Thinking should be your spouse. Thinking is your friend. It stays with you 24 hours a day. It doesn't go away. Even if you sleep, when you sleep, people think. You don't accept this, I know. But it happens. Sometimes you think in dreams also, which is not provable, but it happens. We think in dream. And when thinking becomes habit, then it's your property. Don't feel stress of thinking, because in beginning you'll find stress, but that stress is instant. That stress is not permanent. That stress, you can say, converts to strain momentarily, but doesn't harm. And ultimately, we can say I can say, you may say that, oh, I am now in a position to apply whatever I learned. Yes, you have to apply whatever you learned. You have to apply, and it's also, lucky. You're lucky if you apply, if you have opportunity to apply something. If you can apply, it's also a part of observing your work, self-observing. If you can apply successfully, I think you must be happy that my application has been successful, and that application actually is defined engineering. Engineering means that application which is based on your thinking to achieve some objective. That's what I say. Application. Engineer means what? A person who is having mind, brilliant mind, genius mind. And that genius means not constant, always rising on ladder, rising on something, and that's what to do. So purpose of this small application talk was platform. You may say, I'm talking quality and application. Quality and application, I'm talking application at one end and quality at other end. So what I say, that it's like that. Applications must be affected. Engineering, quality, and applications are very important points here. Please keep this in mind. At one end is quality, at other end engineering application. Quality means designs, and designs means to work applications. We can take that point into our mind and move further. That's very important one. Now, we discussed last time about our organization, how we do, what we think of, and how can we run project. It doesn't mean what I speak here is exactly what is done. It's not that. I just collected information from my known areas, from my experience-based knowledge. It's not my true knowledge, it's based on experience, and experience means only I am not involved. It's not that I am involved only there, many others are involved, and that's, I can say, it's experience based on many people. It's not simply I am saying I am involved. We say deliverables. Monitoring update, we know monitoring is very simple, that you have to supervise something done or being done. Something is done or being done by all parties or contractor people, and someone is supervising that, someone supervises or surveillances that, just to make sure that whatever is done must comply with what is required. And that is actually quality and quantity controls. Quantity you have to do, there's no way you can't do, but whether that is done right, that is done in a way it is expected or is intended to get in, can say quality exists there. We have to make sure that schedule is online, we have to make sure other controls are working, and we have to make sure progress is achieved, controls, cost control, application of various updates, and we have to understand always to compliance is being made, non-conformities are avoided, and if are done, must be repaired, must be reinstated to required status. Then you can say risk factors of course exist, and we have to understand those risks before risk impacts on us. So stage is dominant for pinpointing flaws. We have to find out where do flaws lie, and we have to pinpoint. You can say occurring to project performance obstacle. Now we say, okay, we have deliverables here. We can say, yesterday I discussed this one, deliverables. Actually, I just repeat it for purpose of refreshing what we discussed there, because we last time said all deliverables or work done are inspected by those people responsible for that. I'm not going to speak as same as written. Whoever are there, these deliverables would constitute almost all documents, as well as scope required. Documents require inspections, examination by competent key personnel for submission, authorization. All approved works to be documented in various formats. And we can say whatever deliverables we have, in line with agreed test checks. Whatever test checks we can say, everybody cannot check 100%. But it's not question of checking, it's question of, make sure that work is done according to requirements of quality and whatever specifications have been accepted to be applied are applied with. All documents, whatever required, must be done. Documentation must be done. This may be inspection documents, this may be something else, authorization of documents, everything is done. And whatever work is done must be approved by those who are responsible for that approval, and there's no way that this can be challenged. There could be variances. Then we have to apply corrective actions if there's non-compliance. We have to apply corrections, which is a must. And we have to see whatever schedule even requires, schedule I mean to say time plan of your work, or you can say schedule can also be corrected. We can consider time baselines, we can consider cost baselines, and we have to maintain both. And we usually call in our language that our project is online. Online means what? Online means whatever progress line we projected in start of work, that project line is not varying much. It's in recover stage. We can recover that. And if we cannot recover that, then that's a question mark. Why we are not recovering that? There may be some lack, some absence of something. So that is what we say. Well, then we have to get approvals of everything. And approval is very important phenomenon. And it clearly mandates that a person who does job, whosoever, a party who does job, here is contractor who does job, for whatever job contractor does, it's that contractor's responsibility. The job is done according to contract, according to documents, requirements, according to methods, according to concept, according to design, according to specification, or whatever you think is applicable. Work should be done and approved. Approved doesn't relieve contractor freedom of no. If contract is not free after approval, those people who are not from contractor, they approve. Like engineer is not responsible for your work. Just he says, okay, you have done it, I approve it, that's it. There's no personal liability of that person who approves it, because it's just making sure. It's kind of process, you can say. You have to make inspections, but because contractors is responsible for doing their job, the job must be approved by, you can say, works of contractor must be approved. Progress of work, you can say. Now, generally, progress of work is measured by those who are either in scheduling, or in planning, or either in quantity surveying, or you may say anybody, whosoever can do it. Work is measured in terms of percentage of progress achieved. Percentage of progress can be taken care of by cost application or by important activities, time consumption application. There are many ways. If you just take cost factor, I think that's not also justified. There are so many items, expensive items, which are procured indirectly from market. There's no site time application on that, just bringing and installing it. There are some items, in particularly in electromechanical world, items are procured from market and installed. So you can say it may not be that much important as a thing civil engineering works on site. If I do civil engineering on site construction activities, it takes a lot of time. lot of time to prepare again every day's site and start it. And if I left it working, then it goes on working. I have to consider that. And there could be any work changes which are of course not in project interest. What changes could be of whatever nature, scope change, specification change, design change, which are all against time. Therefore, there should be some limit. We cannot go blindly to change anything. Blind change means you can say reducing your efficiency, and this means you are not ready. You do not have a clear concept when you started that work. So design change, I think, is not in positive approach. Yes, there could be something due to evolving of new ideas or due to whatever reason, but it should not be taken as common activity. Yes, of course, there may be some changes because there is a time gap between what we started with and when we implement it. There could be difference of years. So, of course, to some extent, their proposed changes may be useful. It should not be taken in a way we can say all changes are issued by engineer or consultant in conjunction with client or based on contractor's opinion. If you want to make some changes, it's better if you consult contractor and try to see what reaction that party gives. Maybe that party plays already included item which may be expensive and you can't cancel order now. That point must be kept because ultimately payment has to be made per contract and changes can't stop payment. Work changes are expected to be within limits of acceptance. You can't say, oh, I am changing 70% of this project. No, it's not possible. It affects cost, it affects everything. Sometimes few percentages, nominal percentages, due to whatever reason you can say, finishes or something which are not importable, and those items are affected. Due to this, structure is so difficult to affect because structure is a structure, but finishes are impacted upon, no problem. That's what I say. Changes must be within limits. If item has been procured, you can't miss that. You have to keep that. So avoid changing only nominal items, not everything. It says that certain requirements may be allowed during scope. Certain requirements may be allowed during scope formation. We may say scope charter formation. All requirements should have been listed in all respects. Only oversights or some functional changes may be added as changes, keeping continuation or incorporation of changes may not allow project to finish. That which is interest of neither party. The point was understand. Changes can affect cost. Cost means either omit item or add item. In both ways. Changes can also affect prospects. Prospects of procurable material means already procured. You have to keep in mind who shall pay for that and what shall be use of that material which you already procured, and now change is coming in. So there's no sense in that. You can say omit or edit can be done only within certain limits and depending on what time of schedule you are. Even some omission is required. Then even contractor may ask, are you ready for that? So changes can affect cost of deletion addition. Changes can also affect prospects of procurable material. But keep in mind, scope change can generate risks. Risks for change on time schedule, as well as changes cannot be made on long lead items, or if necessary to be made in early stages of project life cycle. Cost, time and quality can be severely affected by certain changes that need attention by engineer or client. Better it is to avoid changes to finish project in time. Changes are not welcome by contractor as well as by engineer or client. Investment made on project needs return by opening to use after commissioning only. Time to close out project is one of extremely significant factor. Payment is to be made to contractor, for which contractor must be present to engineer all time. Yes, certificate. We had to pay to contractor, and that contractor must submit a payment statement or works done claim statement every month. That requires, it doesn't need any permission because it's right of claim according to contract. Then we can say no payment means fault of contractor. No, it's not. If no payment, it's fault of engineer. Why no? Then we can say when we cannot do something in time due to whatever reason, that is a different issue. But we have to complete in time. We have binding. Oh, no, device time schedule is not important in the sense if you keep online, but if you don't keep online, you have to certainly revise it. Communication to stakeholders, that's we talked of this, and communication by email to everybody. And what is actually now I'm talking of lessons learned from mistakes and incorrect decisions. Certainly, mistakes do work. This you have to make mistakes because you are not doing it directly. And those people who are no serious mind, they kind of say, We have to learn lessons, an important part of engineering from practical aspects. Mistakes are prone to, you can say, occur when various different background people work as team members, supervising workforce. You can say from various cultures, workforce are procured and various backgrounds they come from. These lessons learned records must be published from time to time for benefits of others. They don't care. Some people in construction don't care. Some people care for everything. Both types of people are available and they exist. Now, what are these lessons? Publication must be sent to all stakeholders of these lessons. All team members must know that. You must record causes of mistakes during performance, corrective steps required to take against those errors must be recorded for future reference. We can say certain mistakes are caused due to human errors, while others are caused due to incorrect instructions or non-availability of right information for dissemination. Incorrect shop of working drawings are approved and executed that do not match requirements that you are considered. We say certain mistakes are caused due to lack of coordination. Now we say certain mistakes. Certain mistakes are caused due to human errors, while others are caused due to incorrect instructions or non-availability of right information for dissemination. Incorrect shop or working drawings. Incorrect. So we can say certain mistakes are caused due to human errors, while others are caused due to incorrect instructions or non-availability of right information for dissemination. Incorrect shop working drawings are approved and executed that do not match requirements of fitness. Another bacteria is because certain mistakes are caused due to lack of coordination on site, also in design offices, among various disciplines. Experiences support an argument that discipline engineers do care about their own disciplines but apply lower degree of care for interfaces resolution. For other disciplines, such working situations lead to incompatible drawings, resulting in incorrect interfaces on execution front. Sometimes miscommunication may cause mistakes, say approved for construction drawing is not handed over to site person concerned while work carried out on superseded drawing. Sometimes mistakes are caused due to non-availability of clear detailed designs, while urgency necessitates carry out works in line to similar details available from other areas of project. Non-serious site engineer and foreman can make mistakes of such nonsense in projects. Sometimes being negligent on work performance can cause mistakes as well. Specification is not not studied properly, and trade non practice is applied by foremen without consulting project responsible engineer. Quantity of concrete not calculated properly and order placed for ready-mix concrete without verification. Delivery of additional trucks may be made on site that can cause loss to material cost. Sometimes incorrect understanding of reports on project scope may cause havoc on project execution. Scope may not be explicitly defined, or scope may not explicitly define certain parts of project, but due to urgency of requirement and plan, works are carried out. Sometimes after works are done or are being done, drawings are changed due to constraints on required specification of certain equipment. This usually happens on plants projects where designs of equipment may not be known till time when foundation is finalized. Redesign of foundation would require to keep in line with machine parameters. Due to whatever reason, this state leads to mistaken execution for which rework is required or change is made. Requires according lessons learned. These changes may impact cost, quality, as well as time in entirety on certain cases. These lessons are meant for all team members, supervising foremen, as well as consultants and engineers. These mistakes must be recorded with due value and additional applications of values to avoid such mistakes in future projects. Meanwhile, all right. Like, okay, let me go now for some minutes and come back. can say that. Sorry gentlemen, little late time. No, it's now. We take up this matter once again, and we can say that what actually we are talking of after lessons learned. Completion or closing administrative controls. Completion or closing administrative controls are carried by all parties concerned. Mechanical or practical completion or closing. Contract is required to complete handover deliverables to client through engineer or consultant. All defined constituents of scope should be completed mechanically in all respects before handing over is effected. What does it mean? All defined constituents of scope should be completed mechanically in all respects before handing over is effected. All items must be carried out. All items must be carried out satisfactorily in compliance to drawings, designs and specifications. Verification must be done for ensuring completion of all required items. All procedurals, we can say all procedural contractual documentations must be carried out satisfactorily in an indicated duration duly approved by engineer. All snags should be cleared satisfactorily and approved by engineer. All non-compliance reports should be closed. All works approval records should be sequenced and systemized on soft and hard files duly tagged. All bill documents must be completed duly approved by engineer. This is very important point. Number 4. All bill documents, what does it mean? All non-compliance reports should be closed. That's a must. There's many non-compliance and site or whatever site. You can say this must be confirmed and inspections must be made after conformance. And the proven that NCR must be closed. This is in short called NCR's non-compliance report. Payment is stopped on that item must be closed. And all works approval records should be sequenced, systemized and soft and hard files. Duly tagged ASPL. We are talking about ASPL documents must be completely approved by engineer. What does it mean? Now, as far as structural drawings are concerned, all structural drawings, there may be changes, may not be changes. That's another viewpoint. Now, what happens? Maybe sometimes there's minor changes or structural changes during work. All those changes must be recorded as realized documents and then incorporated onto original drawing issued for construction drawing, and that must be whatever changes in whatever way, even if some pipe passes through that door, it's not permitted. That means whatever happens, level is changed or something else for some adjustments. If there exists something as such, that must be noted in on the drawings in red line form and incorporated into as-built drawings. So you can say It could be schedule, BVS, it could be specifications, it could be drawings, or whatever else. If there is some change due to architectural requirement, everything must be taken into consideration of recording, and as-built drawings must be produced. Like all other discipline, as-built drawings are required. Means status of design and status of built, as built. There could be some difference, but not considerable difference. There cannot be considerable difference between two, only minor differences there. For purpose of maintenance of future, for purpose of something else in future, for references, means these drawings are very important. Generally, we don't find any drawings in ordinary way, but where major projects are concerned, where expenses have been made for vast project, and there's question of service of that project or maintenance of that project, these references are very significant and therefore must be recorded, must be made a condition of the contract itself. Now we say takeover certificate. Client is required to take over. Client is owner, and on behalf of owner we call representative or engineer. Client is required to take over deliverables from contractor, deliverables from contractor through engineer or consultants. Engineer or consultants must make sure that all submissions made by contractor in this regards, as explained in mechanical completion or practical completion, are verified and approved of. All such documents issued. Now there are two terms, one is mechanical completion and other is practical completion. Means both are same, only difference is mechanical completion is generally used for facilities projects, for major projects where machine is dominating factor. Machine means mechanism, means processing plants, actually where cost of machines or cost of vessels is much more, many times higher than the cost of civil works. Generally it happens. So they are purposefully mechanical completion, means machines have been completed for installation, for commissioning, and they use this term mechanical completion. But in other areas such as buildings, RCC buildings or other buildings where practically work is done, is generally called practical completion. It doesn't make a difference, but both are same. Completion is completion, means physical completion. Both are mechanical or it is practical. Physical completion has been done, only maintenance period is left, and physical completion plus successful maintenance period equal to final completion, or completion, you may say real completion. This is intermediate completion, that is mechanical completion or practical completion, and or it is completion plus maintenance period equal to total completion or final completion, duly verified. And approval of all such documents issued also included with that, because documentation is very important for future of maintenance and of course serviceability. And it covers also all warranties of whatever material we produce in. There are warranties of vessels, there are warranties of machines, there are warranties of civil engineering works like waterproofing or like structural. All are included in. Sometimes 10 years warranty, 20 years warranty, 30 years warranty, maybe for machines I can't say, but for structures about in advanced stage 10 years warranty is accepted. So those warranties also include, though it's called completed, but warranties are not completed. Warranties continue in force, that is mandatory, and that person, the contractor or party who did it, remains responsible for that, liable for that. So documentation of closing out is voluminous task. Though it's our software, digital world, yet physically you have to produce documents first. The documents closing out is voluminous task, and therefore must be supervised properly, as it involves all disciplines affected on project, all disciplines of course. It's disciplines of safety, it's disciplines of quality, it's discipline of construction, it is disciplines of designs, it's disciplines of whatever you can say. All records must be collected together. Documentation and purposefully as-built documentation is very important, because that is technical document. Only person needs to requires coordination, very important. In quality, coordination doesn't work because all documents are ITPs and all approved. So it's a collection of records, but as far as closeout as-built drawing is concerned, record drawing is concerned, that must be produced, as must be incorporated, deadlines must be converted to as-built drawings. And that red line means a person who understands must coordinate all. There could be hundreds of changes on project, and those changes must be incorporated. I still remember my time when I was responsible. I did myself, all shop drawings, of working drawings, fabrication drawings of 400, more than 400 manholes on one project. Each each drawing was separate for each manhole. Means plan was there, manhole plan, then section, and of course its internal elevations, where pipes are coming in, what level of pipes, what level of opening is. All those were done. These were done after due coordination of what's required on site and what is in design, and these were delivered to site so that, and all those were then converted. There were so many changes, and even if there was changes on something, same drawing was used for as-built drawings. I still remember that time I converted those 400 tags, 400 designs or shop drawings into as-built, like a book. It was. So documentation is closing out voluminous task and therefore must be supervised properly, as it involves all disciplines affected on projects. So that's the engineering job. That is not ordinary job. Means a person who has been on history of that one, particularly coordinator, can do better than someone else, because other person take time to discover what was changed, was not changed. So dossiers now we call it, and all documents relevant to can say project execution, and supervision history. All documents relevant to project execution or construction or prosecution and supervision history and required to support the operations of project when in service are entitled dossiers. Entitled dossiers, though this term should be used in criminal cases, but it's used, however, in construction as well, because dossiers tell what has been done. It's kind of evidence, you can say, like we do evidence, we produce evidence in courts. This kind of evidence is, suppose there's some investigation to be conducted in future due to whatever structural failure or system failure or something else, whatever failure, and these documents would come into play and will be considered by all those investigation committee. They will go through what was on record and was it according to requirement or not according to requirement, also or something missing, or there is some carelessness for verification of each and everything. These dossiers can work, though I don't think really it is, or very often it is, but I think maybe people take it formally only, not that seriously. That could be reason, but on major plants people are there, quality people, safety people, construction people, design people, all assembled together to do all this work, and therefore we can say dossiers are very important. And dossier doesn't mean you have to keep in one file, means it's very big documentation, and of course nowadays it's digitized, so it doesn't cost much except digitization. You keep somewhere hard copies, so that because dossiers means all machines were installed on that project, including lift, elevator, or escalator, or the vessels, and the heavy machines, all the structures, all are required to be collected in form of dossiers, and that's a very important point. Original data is also kept, means tender data, means the contract data, and also practically done on site data. So transfer of titles, again, is a very commercial term. It's very important ownership term. All equipment and materials procured on contract are done in the name of contractor, because contractor procures them, which means contractor is legal owner of all such procurements, but contractor is paid by owner of such procurements. This requires transfer of titles legally of all such items from name of contractor to name of owner or client through technical legal approval by engineer or consultants. All documents of such items are done on the giant format and made a part of dossiers. So transfer of titles to name of owner, and transfer of technology use, the license to use technology, that's also a very important point. on processing plants, whatever nature, particularly operation of chemical processes, trains, shall serve production on future for a defined number of years per contract conditions, say 30 years or more. Since such process designs constitute copyrights by technology provider through project designer, a license to use technology exclusively for built and delivered projects shall be issued to owner or operator client as a part of dossier as well as a contract condition document. So you can say transfer of technology is done this way. This technology as is allowed to be used by owner, and that is licensed formally under act as given. Just like we agree on computers or some use of computers, license is given to everyone to use software. As such, that's license. It's not from government, it's from public to public. Now, administrative control. There is no limit, in fact, to administrative controls. There's no limit. We have to be very, very creative in this regard. Now, administrative control means in addition to executing works and managing technical controls on whatever project, contract administration is also conducted by engineer or consultant as well as by contractor in parallel to execution, and in fact it works as a part all stages on contract or sorry sorry sneezing. It works as a part on all stages on contract or project life cycle. I read again. In addition to executing works and managing technical controls on whatever project, contract administration is also conducted by engineer or consultant as well as by contractor in parallel to execution, and in fact it works as part of all stages on contract or project life cycle. All project contracts are based on documentary form. All project contracts are based in documentary form, duly executed legally after being constituted or composed or designed with hundreds of contract conditions, both general as well as in form of special applicable clauses. These may or may not relate to various forms of FIDIC, but even then are relevant and legally applicable. FIDIC is a standard one for general conditions and of course particular conditions. If you use that's okay, fine, but if you just use essence of that and you make your own, there's no bar. All conditions or clauses must be operated accordingly during project life cycle. All conditions and clauses must be operated accordingly during project life cycles at right point of time by both contractor as well as by engineer if these are required, because missing such operations could mar completion scope of project and affect release of payment certificates. If there are certain clauses that have not been brought into operation and there have been some disputes, then that's a big question mark. But if there's some superfluous clauses added just for addition purpose and these are not required to be operated on certain project, I can say in that case there's no such, because there can be justification that this was just added or not practically required or required to certain conditions or certain more happening or some developments which will happen. For example, clause of suspension of project by contractor or by employer is always included, but there has been no suspension, so that clause remains silent. It doesn't come into operation. And if there's been clause of of disputes resolution, though that's a separate one, separate part of contract, but doesn't come in the operation, there was no dispute, so that remains also sleeping one. So we have to consider all conditions which are really required. Means generally all clauses are required except those which are, for example, previously we used to call force majeure, but now we call unknown events, and this is not required. These are not required, so we can say there's been no operation on that. So this reason should be given while writing, clauses operation comparison. We have to write a report also about this all clauses in general conditions as in particular conditions for purpose of doing formality or legal closing, that this was clause number this required that, but this was not operated because this condition did not evolve. Means reason must be given, logic must be given why it is not operated, so that we have filled in blanks all answers. So there may be hundreds clauses, answer must be given to all, or it has to be certified each and every clause has been operated except this clause due to such reasons. So similarly, means it's a very detailed work, means that, and we must give everything in black and white, everything in clear terms, that we have operated this contract to possibility of operations, though work has been done, deliverables have been made, yet we have to see we have attended all requirements. Similar operational requirements should be expected from all on record vendors and subcontractors involved on project. Responsibilities of execution by subcontractors and vendors ultimately be shared fully by contractor in light of contractual construction or anticipation. Whatever responsibility contractor has got or contractor has owned through contract, and further contractor allows contractors awards some part of those responsibilities. Subcontractor and contractor are jointly responsible for whatever part is subcontracted, but in law it is contractor who entered into contract with the employer. The contractor is responsible for everything, and because those subcontracted to for that purpose became part of that contract, both are responsible. Contractor is prime responsible, while subcontractor is secondary responsible in that case, because that depends between what conditions were agreed on that subcontract existing between contractor and subcontractor. Then we say that all contracts do include on their specifications as well as indicative bill of quantities, documents, certain bills indicating heading as preambles. Preambles contain references to various activities that support scope, components, execution for project. Particular descriptions indicate overhead activities and various types of sundries expenditure. For example, let us say preambles guidance contract towards that. These may include, for example, provisions of site establishment for contractor. Provisions of site establishment for contractor. Contractor has to provide site established for itself, for its use. All expenses to be made on that are to be borne by contractor. That's condition everywhere. Whatever expenses in site offices, conference rooms, or site toilet, water supply, maintenance, or whatever is required for that purpose. And also site offices for engineers, similar way, it's according to what is described or what is specified. All expenses, if it's mentioned, to be borne by contractor, including all refreshments to engineer, all refreshments site people, all refreshments, whatever is given on behalf of contractor has to bear cost for that. All facilities for establishment and camping of personnel and staff, means whatever facilities you provide in establishments of all, and wherever your people stay, your workers stay, your staff stay, testing of materials, all expenses on that. Whatever sort of testing require or demand testing of materials, expenditures, staffing expenditures, security, site security, and all other security, watch and ward expenditures, guarding expenditures, or you can say site is secured, someone is there to keep it safe, including everything, whatever is kept there, safety, health, and even environment expenditures, safety, health, and environment expenditures, third party insurance liability, expenditures, works insurance expenditures, expenditures meant for mobilization and demobilizations, expenditures meant for prevention of works, expenditures meant for all activities relevant to implication of existing laws, expenditure applicable for unforeseen circumstances, etc. You can see so many preambles are there from administration or from site takeover, including mobilization and demobilization. At end, mobilization starts in the beginning of doing something, and this site preparation, offices, etc., as we discussed there, all offices or engineers and contractors, whatever facilities included in camping for people, for workers, and testing for materials, health, safety, environment, and all other expenditures, third party insurance liability, and whatever you can say happens everywhere in first year and throughout and last month. This must be responsibility of contractor and preambles. Or if some other clause they want to add which is not responsibility of contractor, can add, but it's general that they keep off from sites sometimes. Generally they come in. I can't share them with this topic because this topic is very brilliant. You must understand that all expenditures defined in preambles. It's not a guidance actually, it's a mandate. If it's a mandate, it's to be done. Guidance are written just for few people when you compose some contract. You should keep in mind that this expense is also possible. Even eating habits, refreshments and emergency requirement must be given to engineering staff. When off-duty person is available and duly permitted, food level and then work level must be clearly understood. So we can say that way, all these indirect establishment paths of required activities, all those indirect establishments part of required activities or operations have to be carried out on project that will cost a contractor, which expenses engineer has to carry certify within payment certificate. All such scope items execution must be documented fully for purposes of initiation, planning, execution, and monitoring, and also closing out properly. These items shall be evaluated for being done throughout life of execution process, keeping in view their nature. Though these costs amount only to a few percentage of total costs, but without implementation of all these projects cannot be executed. And this cost is paid, say examples, 24 months period or 36 months project duration, whatever it is. Duration divided by number of months. Duration, this payment, what is included in that item of preambles, there's some payment mentioned in BOQ or whatever they agree with. That amount total for this preambles is divided by number of months project duration defined. So the each month amount comes in, only that amount is paid as preliminary expenditures, not all. In beginning, first month is paid and wait is paid. It's wait, quantity is working. So in that case, I've seen people are not listening. You don't listen, but it happens. But we have to pay. And then also the party So, these are expenses which are, of course, very, very small in comparison to the cost of project, but must be made in time. And in some cases, all these offices are owned by employer at later stage, and contractor can't take them back because payment is made. So, once these are handed over to employer, at end of project, this must be reinstated to its original state, and wherever engineer directs, this must be, you know, transported safely and kept there. It's up to owner then how to use them in future. It's their headache, not responsibility of engineer or contractor. Then we can say we have studied project requirements, project initiations, project charter, planning for all stages during life cycle, execution monitoring controls, performance measurements, project closing out, and lessons learned. This is very small part, of course, but this is very considerable part in our project life. We cannot say that all must be there with these properties of, as we say, all these must be within satisfaction of these terms. This list, this should be in that tray. You can say this tray, and this cannot be taken for granted. Must be done according to requirement, and we can see that construction projects are not simple construction alone. This is intellectualism. We use the engineers are employed only for that purpose. If there's no requirement of intellectualism, why should we employ engineer? Only foreman can handle everything. But no, this is not machine alone that you have to procure and install. Mechanical works and electrical works are a little different. If we take civil construction, it means original work to be done on site. Original work to be done on site, and which procures, which imports a responsibility factor. When you are doing work on site using all raw materials or resources, we call them, you cannot leave them to even to foreman or even to less experienced engineer. We need someone matured there, pragmatic there, so that best use of material is made according to designs. It's not means it's big responsibility of civil engineers working in field, that they must enhance respective knowledge, not theoretically but also virtually and practically. If we can't understand that, we may say that we are not lectured. But it is not that. We understand that. We say what's progress, what's project requirement, we understand. Project handling, we understand. I'm calling handling, management service handling. Then what is project handling? Then we have to analyze briefly how we have to work. Then we have to understand structural sequence of this handling. We have to understand risk response plan. Whatever, every project has different kinds of risks that we have to handle successfully. On, of course, world of communication, which is dominating factor on project. It's not that you have to communicate to someone else also has to communicate to you. You should understand how communication comes in, or action you have to take. And if you can't understand that, then there's no need, you are not required there. This is called competency, means you are a competent person. That's why I say, what your CV is. Your CV says that you're a competent person, you're a responsible person, you are a determined person, you're a dedicated person. So communication is very important part. I think lot of informations can be transmitted through communication, and communication also means coordination. And you can say communication is behind. It's called, it's not false behind, it's called lack of knowledge. So you have to understand project charter, you have to understand communication, you have to understand planning methods, planning and what planning is best one. We cannot say in colorful charts is planning. It has to sense its meaning. We have to understand meaning. Planning is okay, we have, but sometimes we change on site due to involvement of people. So initiation of charter and planning are very important. Planning gives you everything. Planning tells you what you have to do. It's no secret. It gives no secret at all. If planning is not able to do that, then there's no meaning of planning and scheduling. When you are working on schedule, you have to understand the whole project. You have to reflect all items on that project, all activities on the project. And even if it's missing, you have to add that on, because you have cost planning, means you have to put the cost against all activities, and some of that is tender sum or contract sum. So we can't say we have to apply percentage in approximation. And yes, 1% is this, 2% is this, 3% is this, 4% is 5% is this. This you know from there itself. It's called planning, and within planning you have to understand everything. You have to input all knowledge areas. And client of honor means we have to consider deadlines. Client has also to consider deadlines. Client of honor, because payment is to be made, and whatever support client has to give honor in its own interest, it has to support contractor and engineer both. And engineer has to support client and contractor both. Then we can say deadlines on bid. We have to understand bid is to be released. Bid should be released completely without any lacuna, so that all information goes to contractor, which can be considered by contractor. Later on, there can be no complaint that this information was not provided. Why are you pushing now? So it's better if employer or engineer provides complete information. It doesn't mean one day, it can be a couple of days, you can say, that can be made. And of course, execution strategy that the contractor applies with. Then communication channels which you have to use, and we have to supervise, monitor through engineer ourselves, and whatever mistakes we made, we have to learn them. And then we can say dossiers, we have to produce them. These are certain, titles, and in these are designs as well as procurement, which affect everything. If design is good, comfortable, workable, understandable, it can lead to ease of work, ease of execution. If design is complicated, it can cost more time. So we have to keep a watch on design itself. Design should be pragmatic, simple, and easy working, and it should give quality. And of course, we can see then if there are so many problems, then lessons we have to learn, mistakes people will make on site. Monitoring is difficult, supervision is difficult. You have to understand that point where constructability applies in. Constructability, if your constructability is good, it's called quality construction. If constructability is in danger, it's difficult, means we can't call it quality procedures, quality construction. And contractor doesn't mean just give package of some items. Contractor must explain to its people from the project point of view. You cannot take projects for granted, means you have to understand them in purity, because every project is different, every project is exclusive. We can't compare projects this one to that one. Yes, for something only we can consider, for spatial recognition, for science, and not for something else. And we may say that requirement reasons and these parts are given: evolution of society and development, marketing demand for all operating unit organizations, business needs of commercial houses, customer requests for modification, technological advances in the globe, legal requirements for implementation of laws, then social needs. So these are all reasons we are given that for evaluation of this, how project measures requirements, This is my thoughts, not 100% what people think so. Then you can say project management or project, you can say project management concerns and is necessary. What is after all this? You understand that it's given here in long talk. Then project management objectives. What are objectives? We already defined that. And these are scope, quality, time, scope, quality, time, cost, scope, quality, time, cost, risks, human resources, procurement, communication plans, etc., etc. And a brief analysis how to integrate this one, like that, and where are, you say, what parties are involved in this, which are involved in this, we define generally. Then what type of projects are manageable, we have to see that. There are similarly ways, we can go a long way. You can I just browse this file, you can see what we have gone through this. Communication, transparency, conferencing, electronic medium, who should get the most significant part, project manager's role, responsibility. Communication foremost job in management is very important. Again, say communication, transparency, conferencing, electronic medium, who should get the most significant part in project manager's role, responsibility. Communication foremost job management, we should get this very important item, and we should have just a minute. I can go through this just for a minute. And it says considered on low profile by major organizations by an exclusive significant factor that counts on project progress. Keeping project management team informed in addition to senior level people is an utmost requirement. Communication plans must be made designed for implementation from beginning of project. About who would be responsible for making communication to designed personnel. So communication is very important part. It must be a planned one, it must be a documented one. It can't be left otherwise. It must show whom to what, to whom to talk to whom. What is, in this case, who should be responsible for that, whom it should be marked. Like the meetings are in fact an important medium that can help involve parties about to update project reviews of status. Such meetings should be conducted under circulated agenda and to avoid any aid tracking during meeting. Unnecessary arguments should be avoided, and agenda should be adhered to during whole hours of meeting. Participants trying to diversify agenda should be requested to discuss only agenda on meeting, or you can say what is agenda. After that, you can use whatever they want. A status meeting should cover in general all points of the project draft, reflect a gross picture of project for appraisal by all stakeholders. Then minutes itself are very important. You cannot write essays in minutes, means you have to point which point is there in this minute and who is accountable for actions. Then you can say meeting should not be too long, as so only pointed one. You can see it's all there. It's not. Then we say initiation of the project stage of process includes, that's the important part, project initial charter constituents, then planning, development, service side, and we give all stages in this. Then we say project stage of process include, say bidders or client behalf, and then sequences on client behalf, sequences are these actually sequences of activities you can call. These are sequences of activities on client's behalf, on client, and also this is tender work, which is tender work means responsibility documents may or may not be suitable for contractor. All these activities are given that technical bid, commercial bid discussion, project stages of project. This include So this is a list where we can say from award of contract what should someone do. This is in you can say execution by client or owner, how they execute their part, meeting deadlines to release contract documents through engineer, duly executed legally, and contract documentation. Means this long list, as also you can see, this long list is there, and then you can say execution or implementation process that's contractor has to do, meeting deadlines to submit various deliverables as parts of contract performance, communication channels on process involvement by all relevant parties. This is, you can say here, sequence of all life services, means as given here in this correspondence is planning, engineering, laboratory, all are given. Project stages or project process, then you can say, as we stated today, monitoring and updates we did. It's something, in very brief, I try to communicate what is project control. Project control, cost wise, time wise, quality wise, procurement wise, risk wise, and resources wise. What are controls? You can say all actions to be required, all actions you can say required to be done, rather than say we conduct in all disciplines and sub-disciplines, starting from safety, health and environment, planning, quality, execution, and of course designs, communication. Now communication is also a sub-discipline, coordination is overall term. And you say, if we interact like that, it's kind, you can say it's a kind of quality processing. It's called quality processing, and it's very, we can say this product should be quality product, and that's what's required. And we can say ultimately that what's required is this, ultimate requirement is this, right? And for this requirement we may say engineering, applications and quality. You could say also designs and applications, but quality of design also is a subject. It's not quality control alone, it's quality everywhere. Just like we lead our life in quality, my food is quality one, my residence is quality one, my school is quality one, my own standards are quality one, my language is quality one. I don't use abusive language, I talk politely, I talk command. Like that we say it's something to be indifferent, and also you may say whatever is cost, price, etc. is to be concluded in that is controllable. That's what we always call it. Call it, and call it, thinking. And so we may move further. And then I try to use some other, you may say, we try to use contract in this regard, which is very much linked to this one. That's FEDIC document. Silver, which is for EPC, that can be considered a part of this talk for reference, not for explanation. This, as we know, has got certain sections of what actually it says. Let us say it's preview. that these conditions of contract are not suitable for use in following circumstances. If there is insufficient time or information for tenderers to scrutinize and check employers' requirements, or for them to carry out their designs, risk assessment studies, and estimating. If construction involves substantial work, underground or work in other areas which tenders cannot inspect unless special provisions are given or allowed to account for unforeseen conditions, or if employer intends to supervise closely or control contractors' work, or to review most of construction drawings. These actually, now what it says, FIDIC recommends that second edition leave it. Now what says these conditions should be, we are calling, means along with FIDIC Red Book, conditions of contract for construction, and FIDIC Yellow Book, conditions of contract for plant and design build, and FIDIC Silver Book, has been widespread use for nearly 2 decades. But these conditions have certain reservations, as it said, which is unknown cannot be considered this. Only known can be considered this. And there has been typical sequence of principal events during contracts or ABC technical projects. Time for completion is to be stated in contract data as a number of days to which is added whatever extension of time under subclause will take later on. I'm just giving you so sequences are in order to indicate sequence of events. This diagram is based upon example of contractor failing to comply with defects. Notification periods to be stated in contract data is number of days which is added extension depending on type of works. Tests after completion may also be required. So this is something, a diagram, and various typical sequence of payment events, and this is in clause 14, and typical sequence of dispute events, and this is in clause 21. It's typical sequence of events in agreement or determination under subclause, and then scenario 2, 1, 2, 3, like that. And you go to index of this. We talked of index last time. Then employers administration is there. Contractor hears contractor's general obligations, performance security, contractor's representative, subcontractors, nominated subcontractors, cooperation, setting out health and safety obligations, quality management, compliance verification system, use of site data, sufficiency of contract price, and unforeseeable difficulties, rights of way and facilities, then evidence of interference, access routes, transport of goods, contractors' equipment, protection of environment, temporary utilities, progress reports, security of site, contractors' operations on site, archaeological and geological findings. In that case, you can say designs also, general design obligation, contractors' documents, contractors' undertaking, technical standards and regulations and training, as-built records, operation and maintenance manuals, design errors. These are certain points that are very important from viewpoint of contractor staff and workers. We have to see engagement of staff and labor, rates of wages and conditions for labor, recruitment of persons, labor laws, working hours, facilities for staff and workers, and health and safety of personnel, contractors' superintendents and contractors' personnel and contractors' records, disorderly conduct, the key personnel, and plant materials and workmanship, manner of execution, samples, inspection, testing by contractor, defects and rejection, remedial works, ownership of plant and materials, royalties, commencement delays and suspension, commencement of works, time for completion, program, advance warning, extension of time for completion, delays caused by authorities, rates of progress, delay changes, employer suspension, consequences of employer suspension, payment for plants and materials after employer suspension, prolonged suspension, resumption of works. Then you can say test on completion, contractors obligations, delayed tests, retesting, failure to pass tests on completion, employers taking over works and sections, taking over parts of works, interference with test on completion, defects after taking over. Purpose of this is, I can say, defects after taking over, completion of outstanding works and remedying defects, cost of remedying defects, extension of defects notification period, failure to remedy defects, remedying of defective work of site, further testing after remedying defects, then right of access after taking over, contractor to search, performance certificate, unfulfilled obligations, clearance of site, tests of completion, procedure for test after completion, delayed tests, retesting, failure to pass tests after completion, variations and adjustments. Right to vary value engineering variation procedure, provisional sums. Then you can say right to vary value engineering variation procedure, provisional sums, day work, adjustment for changes in law, adjustment for changes in cost, contract price and payment, contract price, advance payment, application for interim payments, schedule of payments, plants and materials intended for works, interim payments, payment, delayed payment, release of retention money, statement at completion, final statement, discharge, final payment, cessation of employer's liability, currencies of payment. Then termination by employer. These are all that. Notice to correct, termination for contractors default, valuation after termination for contractors default, payment after termination of contractors default, termination for employer's convenience and valuation after termination for employer's convenience, payment after termination for employer's convenience, suspension and termination by contractor, suspension by contractor, termination by contractors, obligations after termination, payment after termination by contract, and care of works and indemnities, responsibility for care of works, liabilities for care of works, intellectual and industrial properties rights and indemnities by contract, indemnities by employers, shared indemnities, exceptional events, notice of an exceptional event, duty to minimize delay, consequences of an exceptional event, optional termination, release from performance under law, insurance general equipment, the general requirements, insurance to be provided by contractor, employers, and contractors' claims for payment and EOT. And disputes and arbitration, constitution of constitution of disputes avoidance and adjudication board, failure to appoint disputes avoidance and adjudication board members, avoidance of disputes, obtaining DAF's decision, amicable settlement, arbitration, failure to comply with DAF's decision, no DAF in place, and then general condition, all that is how you can say that we are here in this, and that's where it lies in. Well, I understand now, I got my point. I'm going to say the quality system, the contract quality, system quality, work quality, every quality is important from point of view of this. There is no end. Quality has no end, but it is to be limited to something. We can't say quality is enlargeable. It's enough if we comply with what is required. When we say what is required means what is given in our details, what is given in documents, what is given in specifications, what is given in drawings, what is given in details, what is given in codes, what's required is good practice, means all these contract documents we say from contract cost document, price document, contract specifications, contract conditions, you can say follow up like this contract conditions versus contract price and contract conditions, particular then general, and of course then project specification, then specifications, and of course coming that time in drawings of that. Yes, these documents which have been constituted for purpose of contract by combined effort of engineers and or you can say owner as well as contractor. This must be complied with in clear terms because contract is very part of this project or every project. Without those efforts cannot be anything. And it's also been very difficult to get done through your own until you have a good experience. Contract is expected to be experienced. But due to various corruption level, it's not being done. Otherwise, there's no meaning that your works are done, quality works. Even if now it's no rain, it's no rain, no rain, no consider that. We have to understand life. We have to understand point. In life, what is point? In life, there is existence. In life, there is quantity of everything. In life, there is quality of everything, which is not maintained properly. We can't explore everything in a small life. We can't explore whole sea. We can't explore whole reservoir. We have to live, and that living is very simple. Now, when we say civil field engineering, this means actually field engineering rather than saying civil field engineering. But we say civil because civil is original work. It has many vistas in this, many designs in this. Civil designs are different. Design itself is very wide in civil. So many designs are there. Means I can't say everybody knows everything. Who is expert in what? That is the most respectable. That is how I found. Yes, point of view is this: what is after all designs and construction? Is design so easy? You think so? No, it's not easy. Design takes time. It takes total contemplation. Construction takes more time than design. Maybe design takes 1/5 time, 1/6 time, but construction takes manifold time. What's methods? Yes, that's another point. We can't force methods on someone. Method is not something that is sharply defined. Whatever one wants to do with confidence, with proper methods, with proper technique, that's called method. There can be many methods for same thing to be done. There is no compulsion there to do this way. But once we agree for something, we have to do that way. That's what we are talking of here. And EPC includes all this. We said design, construction. That's called engineering, procurement, and construction. And when we say AnnexSL, of course, is part of ISO 9001 2015. That is structure of organization, functionally, how it does complying with quality. That's AnnexSL. And then organization. What is organization after all? AnnexSL is organization. We define on that. So these are complementary to each other. AnnexSL organization, and of course communication is also a kind of organization within organization. Communication organization, we call it communication discipline, we call it, or coordination. Communication coordination are on same pattern. In organization, who has to communicate to whom, and what is coordination requirement? Who is responsible for coordination? Based on this quality of system. If suppose coordination is very bad, communication is not timely, your project cannot move because there is no responsible person. You have taken action, but that action is meaningless. There is no one to look after you. No one to look after me. That is bad communication. Then we go on to quantity after coordination and quality both, which are very relevant terms. As I said in the beginning itself, quality is undefined and very much defined. If you don't respect, you can say it's not defined. It's defined everywhere. But it's up to you. You may call it description and documents. You may call it specifications. You may call it design, details. You may call whatever. You don't even look at them. Ignore them and then say, oh, it's quality work I've done. You didn't look at them seriously. You look only for superficial viewpoint. Formally you looked at them, just certified something. You don't know what you did. You just trusted your contractor, or contractor trusted something. You are just interested in compiling job and producing job, not thinking what shall happen to this job in future. So you missed quality, you missed everything, and you're claiming that you have done quality work. Everybody does it, I know, except in other countries I've seen. But what I see here, people don't know what they are doing. It's everywhere like that. People don't know what you are doing behind. But you are able to complete that job even ignoring quality and requirements. Yes, something may be better. I cannot say everything. Where people are engaged, people are dedicated to their job, they are well determined to do work. There can be no challenge. Because if 2 or 3 are coordinated, they decide something. So best point is quality achievement. Again I say, if you can achieve quality, you are a wonderful person. If you can't achieve quality, I can't say you are a person even. I can't call you a person if you can't achieve quality. If you can achieve, it's fine, it's beautiful. If you can't achieve it, you are dutiful. I can say you are dutiful. In that case, well, I don't want to explain redundantly. It's meant for intellectuals, it's meant for those who are dedicated, it's meant for those who are contractors, it's meant for those who are supervisors, those who are consultants, those who are designers. Those all people are well educated. Only problem is ill-informed or careless. If you are ill-informed, it's your duty to find information. If you get information without effort, you are a privileged person. People are there to your good luck. And if you find information on your own, it takes time. But you don't feel happy, though you may say, I have done this job. But you don't feel happy you did this job without compliance. Maybe you are not able to produce NCR, but there is an NCR in your mind. I did not take care of this job. I'm not telling you psychology, but you are paid for that. You may take contract, or you may work as engineer, or you may work as chief engineer, or you work as whatever you work for. You do not do the job happily, constructively, and then say, I have credit of this job at the end of year. I see how many jobs I have done. Yes, jobs you might have done. But did you go to your previous jobs sometime to see how it's working? First of all, you won't indulge to go there. We can only claim. We can claim anything. Claim is no meaning. But that claim should be constructive, should be based on truth. Falsely claiming is not correct. Falsely claiming is not engineering. One should be trustworthy. God has given you chance to be engineer, to serve God. If you do not serve God correctly, rightly, if you do not use materials rightly, correctly, according to best use, means ultimately what I should say, this is psychological statement but I should not make. You are all educated people. Even you are a student, you are educated, and particularly those youth who are joined or would join engineering in future, and particularly those civil. I must consider civil, not about mechanical, electrical, because they don't have that much dedication requirement since machines come built in and electrical parts come built in. There's no control. They can't control except purchase control, procurement control. More than that, they don't have any control on that. But in civil, in construction, you have to control yourself. You can't say this person did this, so I didn't know. Civil engineering is hard field, intellectual hard field. You have to do surveying, you have to do quantification, you have to do designing, theory structure, fluid mechanics. Everybody is there, everybody is present, materials are purchased, everything is done. There can be no complaint. Why should there be complaint if everything is fine? But there is someone who does not cooperate. You may say contractor, you may say some agent, you may say material is not available and you accept what is available. That could be also a consideration. But if that is the case, then there should be change. Yes, this material was not available, we brought in another material. Then this comes to time or to design again. You can't blindly change anything. Or you first test that. If you want to change something, you have to test it first, and that takes time. So question of time escalation comes in, and that's the risk. Have you not covered that? Where I say cost risk, time risk, quality risk, all risks. If you're not abiding by quality, is a risk factor. What you are producing, how many percent below it is, or it may be super. You have to know what value you added or you have reduced value. Value addition or value deletion. If it's value deletion, that's the question mark. Why should I accept that? And if there's something not available, why did I know at the time when I included that, which source I used for that information? That's the point. Why system failed, why I as individual failed, or why this item failed, why information was provided, why update was not done. So question of time cost, and life cost still moves in. And if that moves in, where do I stand? That must be asked. That question must be asked. Where do I stand? Then my talk is futile. If I can't get all this information, what my coordinator is doing, I don't know. Coordination doesn't mean that you are paid by company. You are paid by company. We have to understand all these facts. And if you don't understand these facts, we falsify ourselves. We say work is worship, and where's work and where's worship? Engineering is a worship. Yes, engineering is religion. Engineering is use of material. It's more than religion. In religion, we just worship material. Here we use materials as reference. Using material for permanence. Using material for permanent work. That work is more than 2 or 3 generations that you see. Maybe you have 100 years time for this project to work. But you shall live. You in 2 generations will live. This building will stay. The structure will stay. And that point is very much important here. Why don't you understand that point? That's why quality plays an important role. And if we understand quality role, we can say we understand every role. That's point here. Our aim is that our consideration is that role is quality, which means quality everywhere. Forget ISO 9000, think of everything. Forget everything, think of everything. Engineering is thinking. Engineering is application. And with thinking and application, everything comes out. Everything comes out. We have to be considerate, we have to be adjustive, we have to accommodate, and we have to keep practical angle also, but not all time. We should not forget we are doing for project. My name shall not be there on this project, that's all right, but I should have one piece. We must keep ourselves safe as far as quality and quantities are concerned. We can't go blind. Blindness doesn't work. Only work works. Attention works, open eyes works, open mind works. Engineering is open eyes, open minds, no sleeping attitude. Engineering is no laziness. Civil engineers must be smart always, must be awakened, must be intention, because civil engineer has to take care of every act. I'm not telling something special, you know all. Most difficult engineering practically as well as theoretically is civil. How much we have to study mathematics, how much we have to study formulas, how much we have to study, we know all. And if you're not going through that, then we are not civil engineers. In that case, I can't say. There's some sense from home. I shall understand. So don't speak every day. So with this I can say, with this little statement, we have to keep open our eyes, we have to open our mind, open our tongue, open our writing, open our coordination, open our studies, everything. We have to act like a student of engineering rather than engineers. We have Mr. Hunger to learn field work. You are hungry for design, you are hungry for management, you are hungry for this and that, but hunger for work is very important, but we have to learn. With this I can say, you can't limit controls. Controls are unlimited, but we can limit our approach. We can't control uncontrolled area, but we can control something that is in our capacity, for which we are paying. The question is also not payment, question is how much we can perform. Cost doesn't change, only attitude changes. If you are a changer person, you can change within contact yourself. That's enough. We can think like this, just like death is not controlled by us. Works out deaths. These are death's future. This can cause deaths. That point we must keep in mind. And we are very reasonable. We can be very positive, we can be very hardworking, smart thinkers, and civil engineers are brilliant people I know. Brilliant in a way, brilliance in theory, brilliance in analysis, brilliance in safety, brilliant everywhere in work otherwise. It's not that I am trying to appreciate, I'm just trying to read what we are. I've seen many faces in site, many faces in offices, and I can see that it is only we who can serve in different way, forget others. Our service is hard because it is in deserts, it is in forests, it's in where nobody exists. Very little it is in cities, it's in comfort zone, it's very little. Lives of civil engineers, except those who are in government or somewhere else, who have comforts of enjoying, I think we can't afford to enjoy life like others do. That's the major point we have to consider in all these representations, that civil engineer must have pride that I am different. I am different. It is different world. Why should I jump out of this and go to management or go to somewhere else? And this original work, it's original work. That work is created for decades, many decades and centuries. So you are part and parcel of nature, because nature doesn't work for one day or 2 days. Nature also works for centuries, millenniums. We should have pride in that. With this I say, okay, I close this.